Hello everybody, today we're doing some seams on a patio. In this video we're going to get the old tape seams, the paper tape seams dug out, get everything secured with new screws, get it fiberglass, basically get it to the point where it's ready for first coat. With these tape seams, everybody thinks you just put fiberglass over the repairs and you mud over it, but there's a little more involved to do it correctly. Original builds, they use paper tape. I know you've probably seen paper tape in the drywall aisle at the store. That paper tape is used in these tools. It's called the bazooka. It's just an automatic taping tool that they use when they do large jobs, new homes, stuff like that. When they freshly sheetrock the house, all new sheetrock, they use these taping tools that help put on the tape, and then they go through and coat everything with these tools and get everything ready for texture. With these taping tools, they use a paper tape, but this paper tape fails after a while. That's why most repairs are done with the fiberglass mesh. I never really do repairs with paper tape. The only time I'll use a paper tape if there's big gaps or maybe in angles. A lot of guys like to use paper tape in angles so you can do a 90-degree crease with the paper tape. But whenever you do these stress crack repairs, you always want to dig out that old tape. It's tedious. You have to dig it out with your 6-inch knife. It takes a lot of time. After a while, you just want to give up and just say, I'm done with this, and just start taping over it. But the extra time you spend digging this out, it's going to really give you a better result at the end. Because what you're doing is you're basically getting that old tape out. You want to get all that old stuff out of there. You don't want to just put a band-aid over a band-aid. You got to get that old band-aid off, get it all cleaned up. And then the old tape, once you dig it out, leaves like a 3-inch groove where the old tape was sitting under the mud. So now that groove that you left from digging out that old paper tape, now you can put your fiberglass tape right on that groove. And now you don't have to go crazy with coating everything because you left that groove. So all you have to do is fill in that groove with mud now. With the first coat, do a tight first coat, tight second coat, and if need be, strike it in with the third coat, and then you can texture. This groove helps you so you're not putting a big old heavy coat on the joints and then crowning out your joints. A crown joint is when you basically see a hump in the ceiling. That's a crown joint. Just like the name says, a crown. You can see the hump. So we don't want to have crown joints whenever possible. Everybody thinks you just pile on a bunch of mud, but you're just filling in the area that needs the mud. Sometimes a little is enough. If go crazy. Anyone can put on a bunch of mud and sand it down, but you just want to put the materials where it's needed. And here we're just going to have to fill in that groove from digging out the old paper tape. This is on a patio, but the sheetrock's all the same. Houses inside. Sometimes if the walls or ceilings have fresh paint on it, these paper tapes are harder to dig out. If it's old flat paints, sometimes they'll just come right out. You pull them and the whole length of the tape will come right out. So you just got to work with it. A nice stiff 6-inch knife, even a 4-inch knife, just getting in there, prying it out, and you just got to work it, and eventually it'll give way and dig out. Once you get it all dug out, all that old paper tape, then you're going to go around and scrape everything, get all the loose stuff off, and then always go through and put sheetrock screws. This is a 1/2-inch ceiling with sheetrock, so we're going to use 1.25 to 1.5 drywall screws, coarse screws for wood framing. Tighten up all the trusses on each side. Add a bunch of screws, tighten up everything. More likely, most original builds, they just use drywall nails. And they just go through and nail up, tack up nails. But these nails back out. The reason a lot of homes have nails instead of screws, well, when they were building these houses, most houses didn't have power. I remember when I was working in new construction, sometimes having power and water on a job site was a luxury. So if they were sent to a job and they didn't have electric or generators, they would probably have to go through and just do nail install, which is still code. I think you just have to add like 2 more nails per row when you do nails. But whenever you do nails, it always backs out. And with nails, with the hammerhead, you're going to have to do an extra coat on it because you have deep hammerheads whenever you install sheetrock with nails. So we always go through and tighten up everything with screws. So if it is moving around from loose sheetrock, that will tighten it up and at least get rid of that problem. Once you get it all scraped, all the tape dug out, everything's checked, plenty of screws set in, then you're going to follow through with a fiberglass mesh. I know everybody wants to use these other tapes on the market. Paper tape, don't use. Just use a fiberglass mesh tape. You shouldn't have any problems with the fiberglass mesh tape if it's done correctly. It's a strong material. There's other tapes out there, infused tape, stuff like that. Sure, you can use these, but I just use fiberglass mesh tape and I never have any problems. Anything that ever cracked out from me using a fiberglass tape, it usually wasn't my fault. It was something else, movement, structural movement, or something to cause that. Basically, once you get it all screwed up, and then you do fiberglass, and then you do muds on it, anything to crack that takes a lot of movement. So you got bigger issues than just a sheetrock moving. You got structural wood movement, which is common in some of these houses. This is a patio. I know depending on your region, you probably don't have sheetrock on patios, but the process is the same in digging out the tape on all the joint seams. These are joint seams and then butt seams. The butt seams are the 4-foot seams that butt up against the sheets. The joint seams are where the sheetrock stacks on each other. So butted up is a butt seam, and then the regular joint seams are the longer seams. But basically, just get it all dug out. Pretty simple video. This is just going to be the part 1 of this video of doing the dig it out and basically getting it ready for mud. Then we're going to have to turn around and get it first coated by striking in that groove. I'm going to use a 5-minute hot mud. Then we're going to follow through and do a second coat, touch up, slick it out, and then we're going to follow through and do a sand skip trowel. As you can see, the original texture here looks like a skip trowel, but there's actually sand in it. So I also made another video of that, of doing the sand skip trowel. They just add silica sand to get that rough look. You can see on the right-hand side how they have stucco cement walls. So they put the sand and the texture in the drywall mud, and it gives it kind of a stucco appearance. Instead of doing stucco overhead, which is probably more expensive, they just do sheetrock on the patios and then give it a sand texture to give it that stucco appearance, cement finish look.